Discover the incredible changes. 2 years of Trump's tariffs revealed heartwarming transformations. In the heart of Willow Creek, Sarah stood amidst the smell of fresh paint and wooden beams in her family-owned hardware store. It had been in her family for over 50 years, a legacy that felt heavier every day. The weight of the world pressed on her shoulders, especially since the tariffs imposed had sent ripples through the town's economy. Wooden shelves that once brimmed with tools and supplies now echoed with the haunting silence of uncertainty, a stark reminder of the challenges ahead. Sarah's heart tightened at the thought of losing the only thing that connected her to her past. She was a single mother, fiercely determined, especially with her father's shadow looming behind her. A retired veteran, he had raised her to believe in hard work and rugged individualism. Yet, here she was, caught in a storm of her own making, feeling that tradition clashing against the new world she envisioned, a world built on unity and cooperation rather than isolation. The town felt like a ship navigating through murky waters, and she was the captain trying to steer her family through the storm. "Sarah, you can't just wave a magic wand and make everything better," shouted Mrs. Thompson during the last town meeting, her voice filled with the fear of change. Others murmured in agreement, their faces painted with skepticism. It hurt to see her neighbors dismissing her dream of a cooperative marketplace, a place where artisans could gather, showcasing their handmade goods. "We are a self-sufficient community," they insisted, their conviction cutting deep, but Sarah wasn't giving up. She needed to rally them, to tap into their spirit. After all, this was more than just about her store, it was about their home. In a moment of desperation, she took a deep breath and spoke up. "What if we come together, rather than pushing apart? We can support one another." The silence that followed felt heavy and thick, like the air before a storm. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. In that moment, her father stood. His hands were weathered and trembling as he fought against a lifetime of fears that had shaped him. "I was wrong to think individualism was the only way. We need each other." A hush fell over the room, surprise mingling with emotion. It was a revelation that cracked open the hearts of the townsfolk. As they exchanged shared stories of struggle and resilience, Sarah felt a flicker of hope. Yet, with the festival approaching and the weight of uncertainty still heavy, she remained haunted by lingering doubts. The stakes had never felt higher. Could this new sense of solidarity withstand the challenges ahead? Could Willow Creek transform into something truly united, or would the shadows of the past pull them back? As she looked around the room, filled with both familiar faces and newfound determination, she wondered what the future really held for them all. As the days rolled into the countdown to the festival, the air in Willow Creek began to buzz with a newfound energy. Sarah transformed the old hardware store into a vibrant hub of activity, her determination igniting a spark within the community. Each afternoon, artisans began to trickle in, bringing their handmade crafts and stories to share. Woodworkers, jewelers, bakers, they all felt compelled to join in. Laughter echoed off the walls, the sound straining against the silence that had held the town captive for far too long, but amid this burst of creativity and collaboration, Sarah still felt a gnawing anxiety. The festival was just days away, and though excitement colored the town's atmosphere, the weight of doubt clung to her like a shadow. Would the townsfolk rally around this new vision, or would they retreat into their fears at the first sign of trouble? One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she paced the store, her mind racing. What if nobody shows up? What if it all goes wrong? She asked herself, feeling the familiar weight of expectation on her shoulders. But just then, her son Alex wandered in, dragging a little wooden cart. Inside were his own crafted toys, whimsical and colorful. "Mom! Look what I made for the festival." He beamed, his eyes shining with excitement. The sheer joy radiating from him pierced through her fears. I want to sell them so we can help people, like you said. That glimmer of innocence, of hope, rooted deeply in her chest. She knelt and hugged him tightly, feeling the warmth of his little body dissolve the ice of her doubts. You're going to be a star, buddy, she said, attempting to mask her growing reservoir of fears with a smile. As the festival day dawned, Sarah was met with a flurry of anxious energy. Colorful tents lined the main street. The sweet smell of baked goods wafted through the air, mingling with the scent of fresh flowers. Children raced about, their laughter slicing through the morning mist. People arrived in droves, their spirits lifted by the prospect of community over individualism, but as the crowd began to gather, a wave of dread washed over Sarah. Mrs. Thompson stood at the entrance, arms crossed and uncertainty etched on her face. What if no one buys? What if they don't want to support us? Her words hung in the air, laden with doubt. You have to believe in us, Mrs. Thompson, Sarah urged, her heart pounding. Look around. We're a family, and we can lift each other up. Just like we used to. But deep down, flickers of the past haunted her, whispering that failure was always lurking just around the corner. As Sarah took her place behind the makeshift counter, she was struck by the sound of applause. The townspeople were gathering, not just for products, but to celebrate one another, to embrace this change together. Moments later, storytelling began, weaving the narrative of the town into a collective tapestry of hope. But just as the atmosphere seemed to reach an all-time high, someone in the back shouted a familiar name, a name that sent shivers down her spine. What about the tariffs? The question hummed like a cold breeze. Her heart skipped a beat. What if this was the nail in the coffin? Could her dreams withstand this pressure? The tension twisted in the air, heavy and thick, as Sarah's mind raced. The cheerful chatter of families and friends faded into a dull roar, overtaken by the looming threat of doubt that echoed from the back of the crowd. She scanned the faces of the townsfolk, searching for signs of support or fear. The excitement that had once lit their eyes dimmed momentarily as murmurs rippled through the crowd. What about the tariffs, Sarah? Another voice chimed in, tinged with skepticism. Was that Tim from the hardware store? The very store she had hoped to revive. Her stomach twisted into knots. Yeah. What if people can't afford our stuff anymore? Someone else added, leaning against the wooden fence that bordered the makeshift market. Fear, like a thief in the night, snatched the joy from the festival. Daggers of doubt pierced through her confidence. She could almost feel the weight of their worries pressing down upon her. Everyone. Sarah called out, her voice desperately trying to rise above the misgivings. She stepped forward, though her heart raced wildly like a frantic rabbit. I know things are uncertain. But today, let us focus on each other and what we can do together. This festival isn't just about selling, it's about remembering the strength of our community. Some nodded, but others remained unconvinced, arms crossed tightly against their chests. The excitement she had felt earlier began to fade, replaced by a creeping sense of despair. Suddenly, Alex's little voice broke through the sorrow. Mom! Can I show everyone my toys? He pulled the cart closer, colorful wooden cars and dolls bouncing around inside. The sight of his creation sparked a hint of warmth in Sarah's chest. Of course. With a newfound determination, Sarah beckoned him forward. Everyone, meet my son, Alex. He's been working hard, just like all of you. The crowd shifted, some leaning in to get a better view. Alex beamed, his small fingers lifting a bright blue car above his head. I made these so everyone can play together. He shouted, his joy infectious. A few nervous smiles began to surface, and a couple of children dashed over, mesmerized by the colorful toys. Parents followed, shedding their doubts for just a moment. The tension in Sarah's chest began to ease as laughter and chatter resumed. See? She whispered to Mrs. Thompson, who stood beside her, arms still crossed but her brow relaxing. It's about connection. We'll figure this out together. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting golden light over the gathering. Whispers of excitement replaced the concerns. Sarah could feel the tide turning. One by one, neighbors began to share their stories, tales of resilience in times of hardship. They celebrated the little victories, and an undercurrent of unity began to swell, but just as hope started to bloom, a chilling breeze swept through, catching Sarah by surprise. Someone emerged from the edge of the crowd, wearing a serious expression. "I heard the mayor wants to impose stricter regulations on local sales starting tomorrow." The collective gasp felt like a punch in the gut. Sarah's heart raced again. Just when it seemed they were gaining momentum, another obstacle loomed large. She glanced at Alex, his innocent smile juxtaposed against the uncertainty threatening to unravel her dreams. Could they weather this storm? Could the festival's newfound energy withstand yet another challenge? As the crowd simmered with tension, Sarah felt the familiar doubts creep back in. But this time, she knew she wasn't alone. The power of community was pulsing around her, stronger than any doubt. But as she prepared to address the crowd again, she felt an unexpected jolt of clarity surge through her. If they wanted change, they needed to fight for it. Now more than ever, they would have to prove that Willow Creek was more than just a name, it was family. "Will you stand with me?" she shouted, raising her voice higher than before. Hope flickered in her heart. It would take all of them to make a difference, yet, as she looked out, the response was uncertain. Was it enough? The real question hung like an unsaid promise, bubbling below the surface. What were they willing to risk to protect their dream? The silence stretched like a tightrope, and Sarah felt the weight of every unspoken word settle heavily on her shoulders. She could see the worries etched on the faces before her. Some exchanged glances, others shifted their feet, and a few fiddled with their festival t-shirts, a stark reminder that the vibrant energy they'd fostered was now dancing on the edge of anxiety. Together she repeated, her voice steadier this time. "We built this community. We supported each other through thick and thin." Small murmurs began to break through the thick air. "Remember the flood? We all came together," one woman called out from the back, her eyes brightening with shared recollections. Another lifted his hands. "And the time we saved the library from shutting down." A spark ignited in the crowd as stories poured out, familiar and soothing, like warm sunshine breaking through clouds. Each anecdote lightened the tension. Rather than diminishing, Sarah's resolve deepened. Perhaps they could leverage that shared strength more than she'd realized. "Exactly. If we did it then, we can do it again," she responded, her heart racing with determination. "This is our chance to show that Willow Creek stands united, no matter what challenges come our way." As if propelled by her words, more townsfolk spoke up, drawing strength from their shared history. Smile after smile ignited like candles in a darkened room, illuminating the way forward, but the specter of regulations loomed large. Sarah's mind raced. She needed to shift gears and focus on action, something they could control, something that would empower them. "What if we organized a meeting with the mayor?" she proposed, stumbling slightly over the boldness of her suggestion. "If we voice our concerns together, maybe we can influence the regulations in a way that allows us to thrive while keeping the integrity of our community intact." The crowd buzzed with energy at the idea, and the initial skepticism began to morph into curiosity. "I can speak up about my bakery," Mrs. Thompson chimed in, her voice growing stronger, emboldened by the solidarity. "And I can tell them how hard it's been for my shop," called out Tim from the hardware store, his body shifting forward with renewed determination. Sarah's heart swelled. Here they were, families, small businesses, each one a dedicated thread in the town's tapestry. They began brainstorming ideas, discussing strategy, and forming plans. Underneath the tent, laughter mingled with fervor, and for the first time, hope felt tangible. Just then, a cool breeze swept the crowd again, a reminder of the uncertainty shrouding them, but this time it felt different. It whispered of change, of courage. Standing amidst her neighbors, Sarah recalled how far they had come, from hardship to solidarity. But deep within, she understood that they couldn't rest easy just yet. I want everyone here to think about what's at stake, she said, her voice gathered strength. Look at the families here. Look at our children. They deserve a future, a community thriving together. As the sun began its descent, casting shades of orange and pink across the sky, she noticed Alex tugging at her sleeve, his eyes wide with curiosity. Mom, can we really do it? Can we make everything better? He asked, innocence shimmering in his voice. Tears prickled the corners of Sarah's eyes. She knelt to his level, a smile breaking through her worried facade. Yes, sweetheart. We can try our very best. But deep down, her thoughts spiraled with uncertainty. What if they fought and lost? What if the mayor refused to listen? With the warmth of community buzzing around her, she looked back at the gathering, these people who she loved dearly, and took a deep breath. Tonight, let us show the world who we are. And let us plan our meeting with the mayor. We will stand together. The crowd erupted in cheers, the spirit of unity echoing louder than the winds of doubt. Yet, in that moment of triumph, the reality loomed in the back of her mind. Could their bravery hold against the pressures of political regulation? As the festival continued into the night, with laughter and music filling the air, Sarah felt the question linger: would their voices be strong enough to carry the weight of change? The night wore on as twinkling lights illuminated the festival grounds, casting a warm glow on the gathering. Laughter rang out, mingling with the comforting strains of a local band playing nearby. Sarah felt a rush of gratitude for this moment, a gathering of friends, neighbors, and families, all standing strong in unity. It was a reminder that while the sun might set, the spirit of Willow Creek would rise and fight, just like they had time and again. Yet, amidst the laughter, Sarah's heart was a churning sea of worry. She watched Alex animatedly chatting with a young girl from down the street, and it hit her like a wave. She needed to protect their future. How could they make the mayor truly believe in their cause? The image of the town hall filled her mind, a cold, gray building distant from the vibrancy of their festival. The thought sent a flicker of dread through her, but she pushed it aside. As she surveyed the crowd, she caught sight of Mrs. Thompson, who was bustling around, passing out slices of pie from her bakery's stand. The aroma floated through the air, pulling others toward her. Each plate was a slice of community, of shared love. Sarah's mind raced with the thought, they needed more stories like that, tangible proof of the initiative and the heart that made Willow Creek unique. Let us make a list, she called out, her voice rising above the chatter. A list of everything that makes Willow Creek special. We'll use it to show the mayor why we matter. People began clapping and nodding in agreement. One by one, they chimed in with their favorites: the annual Harvest Festival, the community playhouse, the summer sports leagues for kids. Each suggestion was a building block in their collective spirit. Sarah felt a sense of exhilaration building within her. As the list grew, she noticed Tim sharing a story about his father's hardware store, how it once came to the rescue during a winter storm, providing warmth and supplies to those stranded. This town isn't just a place, he said, voice full of emotion. It's our home, and we need to protect it. The crowd grew louder, voices overlapping in a chorus of shared memories and hopes. It felt electric, like they were sparking something deep within one another. Sarah could feel their history binding them, but buried under that excitement lay an undercurrent of anxiety. Just then, she spotted the mayor's assistant stepping through the crowd, clipboard in hand. The sudden appearance sent a ripple of tension through Sarah's gut. Could they really capture the mayor's attention? She had never been one to engage in politics, and the thought of addressing someone in power sent her stomach twisting. All right, everyone, Sarah called out. Let us get ready. We need to make sure we present ourselves well. I know we can do this. The crowd was buzzing with excitement, but she cracked a smile amid the worry. Let us practice our speeches. It's got to come from the heart. As the townspeople began pairing up to rehearse their thoughts, Sarah took a moment to breathe deeply. She loved how everyone was coming together, but it only drove home her fear. What if they were dismissed as simply another group of concerned citizens? Suddenly, Alex sneaked up beside her, holding a small piece of paper crumpled in his hand. Mom, I wrote something too. I want to read it at the meeting. His eagerness melted her heart. Of course, sweetie. May I see it? He unfolded the paper, revealing a few shaky lines about what Willow Creek meant to him: friends, fun, and the best ice cream shop in the county. Sarah's heart swelled. Here was pure, unfiltered love for their home, as genuine as could be. But just as she leaned down to share her pride, the sky rumbled, and a sudden gust of wind swept in, stirring the air thick with the scent of pie and hope. The festival lights flickered, a reminder that amidst this vibrant gathering, there loomed a storm both in the skies and on the political front. Could this storm truly be weathered? Could their dreams ignite a movement for change? The festival faded into a backdrop as Sarah considered the meeting ahead. She wrestled with that underlying fear, that feeling of being small against something so big. But then Alex's warm hand found hers, grounding her once again. Together, they were stronger. Okay, she whispered, determination rising within her. We'll face whatever comes, one we. His bright smile lit up the night. The question lingered, bright like the stars, as they stepped back into the crowd: would their love for Willow Creek be enough to rally the mayor and keep their dreams alive? As the night grew thicker, Sarah felt the weight of anticipation pressing down on her shoulders. The laughter and music faded into a distant hum, drowned out by her racing thoughts. She glanced at the makeshift stage where a few kids had gathered. They had decided to entertain passing festival-goers with improvised performances. Laughter erupted, bridging the gap of worry in her heart, if only for a moment. Mom! Alex tugged at her sleeve, drawing her attention back. Can I share the list with everyone? His face lit up with enthusiasm, shining even brighter than the fairy lights around them. Absolutely, she said, her voice infused with pride. As they walked toward the center of the crowd, the world felt both dizzying and exhilarating. She could sense the energy crackling in the air, as if everyone was on the brink of something monumental. Alex climbed onto a crate, his small figure barely tall enough to be seen over the heads of the crowd, but that didn't matter. He held up the crumpled paper. Everyone. My mom and I made a list of what makes Willow Creek special. His voice rang out clear, like the first chime of a bell. The audience hushed, attention drawn toward him. As he began reading the list aloud, a chorus of cheers and applause erupted. The community garden. The Friday markets. The stories at the library. Each item was met with shouts of agreement, each one a brick in the foundation of their town's identity. The energy surged, lifting Sarah's spirit higher, but just as the words began to weave a tapestry of connection, shadows hovered at the edge of the festival. The mayor's assistant still lurking, clipboard clutched tightly, observing. A layer of worry slipped back into Sarah's thoughts. Would these moments of joy and laughter be enough to sway their hearts? But Alex, undeterred by the seriousness in the air, continued. Those things are what make us us. We can't let them take that away. His innocent passion ignited more than just a response from the crowd. It sparked something within Sarah, reminding her of the fire that had driven her to fight for what mattered most. Then came Tim again, stepping forward bravely. You know, I had a friend who moved away. He said he missed things like the Friday night bingo and the way we come together as a community. That's what sets Willow Creek apart. That's why we need to be here for one another. His words hung in the air, delicate yet powerful. It was true. They were more than just neighbors, they were a family in that moment, bound by shared memories and hopes for the future. To Sarah, the stakes had never felt higher. The potential for change twinkled like the stars above, but so did her apprehension. She could feel the buzz of excitement and fear intermingling, creating a fierce need to channel that energy into something constructive. Then she spotted Mrs. Thompson once again, sneakily hovering with pie slices, her warm smile radiating a sense of solidarity. Sarah had a thought. What if we could create an event? Something to showcase our love for this town, bring everyone together for a real show of strength. The crowd murmured, intrigued. A talent show? A parade? Ideas floated through the crowd, each one more alluring than the last. Yes. Sarah called out, her pulse quickening. But we need to not just celebrate what we love, but also what we need to protect. Let us invite the mayor, show him the heart of this town. As the crowd responded excitedly, Alex jumped down from the crate, rushing to her side. With his small hand in hers, she felt a wave of resolve wash over her. Maybe they could show the mayor the community spirit that ran deeper than political ambitions, and then the wind picked up again, lifting leaves and sending a chill through the air. The townspeople's laughter carried against the gust, like a defiant message against the looming storm. Sarah's voice trembled slightly as she raised it once more. We need to be prepared whatever happens next, let us make sure our voices are heard. In that moment, hope flickered bright within her. But as they buzzed with ideas and excitement, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that a much bigger storm was brewing not just in the sky, but within their hearts. As she looked into Alex's eager eyes, she knew the path ahead wouldn't be easy. But could their love for Willow Creek triumph over the odds? The answer may come sooner than they expect. The wind carried a sense of urgency, whipping through the festival grounds as the townsfolk began to energize around Sarah's idea. One by one, they stepped forward, sharing opinions and building on each other's thoughts, their voices rising above the night like a symphony of hope. The warmth from that connection enveloped Sarah, soothing the nagging doubts lurking in her mind. Let us call it Willow Creek United. Someone shouted, igniting a surge of excitement among the crowd. An event to celebrate our community. Yes. Alex chimed in, his eyes sparkling with determination. And let us have games. Maybe a bake-off. His enthusiasm was contagious, and laughter erupted as others chattered excitedly about pie contests and talent shows. Sarah felt the warmth of the moment. This was their chance, their voice. But then her gaze drifted toward the edge of the crowd, where the mayor's assistant remained, the clipboard a stark reminder of the hurdles still ahead. As the plans took shape, Sarah noticed how the spirit of cooperation had turned into tangible ideas. Tables were suggested for vendors, a stage for performances, and even a sign-up sheet for those wishing to showcase their talent. Each suggestion was a thread weaving them closer together. Should we mix in some history? Tim proposed, his enthusiasm infectious. I mean, we could tell stories about Willow Creek's past while celebrating its present. Everyone's got a tale. Yes. Alex jumped in, nodding eagerly. Like the time the old oak tree saved us from that storm. Laughter burst from the crowd at the memory. Memories like that, Sarah thought, were the bedrock of their community, worth more than any proposed development, but beneath the surface, Sarah's heart thudded. This collective effort could shatter or strengthen them. What if the mayor didn't care? What if they poured their hearts out only to be met with indifference? Her chest tightened at the possibility, yet the laughter kept flowing, and with it, the weight on her shoulders began to lift. They were in this together. More voices joined the chorus, each one pledging to help. Whether it was setting up booths, creating decorations, or simply spreading the word, everyone wanted to play a part. The chilly breeze picked up again, bringing a shiver that ran down her spine. A reminder of the storm that might come, yes, but also a spark of possibility. They could turn this festival into a showcase of what they had to protect. If they could show the heart of Willow Creek, maybe they could ignite change. Just as the plans began to solidify, a silence fell over the crowd, highlighted by one of the children pointing toward the sky. Everyone turned, faces illuminated by the dancing lights above. A flash split the darkness, followed by a distant rumble of thunder. The storm was approaching, but so was their collective resolve. Listen up! Sarah shouted, grounding the crowd's attention once more. This storm is nothing compared to what we're capable of when we stand together. We'll fight for our town, for our identity. Cheers erupted once more. Alex beamed, his small frame bouncing with excitement, and Sarah felt hope blossom anew. But deep down, the question nagged at her, could they rally strong enough to make their voices heard? With plans in hand and spirits high, Sarah turned to Alex and whispered, "Are you ready for this? He nodded with fierce determination, and in that small gesture, Sarah found strength. But as they set their sights on the road ahead, the first drops of rain began to fall, a gentle reminder that every storm had the potential to reshape the landscape. Would they be ready to weather this one? With anticipation coursing through her veins, Sarah couldn't help but wonder if they would emerge stronger than before. The rain began softly, barely more than a whisper against the laughter of the crowd. But as the drops danced across the ground, they brought an electric tension. The air was thick with potential, the storm overhead mirroring the anticipation swirling in Sarah's chest. "All right, everyone," Sarah called out, her voice rising above the patter. "Let us keep this energy going. We need a plan for tomorrow. What should our next steps be? Let us form committees." Tim shouted, enthusiasm brimming. "We can each focus on different parts of the festival." Everyone nodded eagerly, their spirits unbroken by the rain. A palpable sense of purpose had replaced the initial uncertainty, and Sarah felt her heart swell. They were ready to take this leap together. As they divided into groups, games and food, music and decorations. Sarah felt Alex squeeze her hand. "Are we really doing this?" he asked, eyes wide with excitement. "Absolutely," she replied, her own excitement bubbling over. "This is our moment." The commotion surged around them. People began discussing ideas, throwing out names for performers, brainstorming the best dishes for the bake-off. Laughter echoed even as the skies darkened. Sarah felt like she was floating amidst it all, buoyed by the energy of the townsfolk, but amidst the joyous chaos, Sarah could still feel the shadow of doubt lurking. The mayor's assistant still watched them intently, and part of her wondered if he sensed the doubt she couldn't shake. "Do you think they'll actually let us go through with this?" she wondered aloud, a hint of worry threading her voice. "Why not?" Alex countered. "We're strong. We're a team." His fervor was infectious, and for a moment, her fears began to dissipate. Suddenly, the wind picked up, howling like a banshee. The townsfolk paused, a collective shiver racing through the group. Sarah's heart raced. This storm wasn't just weather, it was a metaphor. Would they let it break them? "Let us not panic," she shouted over the roars of the wind. "We need to keep focused. We have a festival to organize." Her voice rang with determination, and slowly, that determination spread. Conversations resumed, though now even louder, punctuated by bursts of laughter that seemed to challenge the storm. With every passing minute, the worry began to lift. They shared stories about the upcoming festival, and as the night deepened, the air filled with laughter once more. "Maybe we could have a storytelling contest," Sarah suggested, her eyes sparkling at the thought. "Everyone has a tale to tell, and we could even have prizes." "Like blue ribbons?" one of the older ladies shouted with a grin. "Yes," Sarah answered. "Just like the county fair." The crowd erupted in applause, and in that moment, as the rain began to fall harder, she realized this storm wouldn't define them. They would rise through it, stronger because of it, but as she basked in the joy of the moment, a crack of thunder broke the celebration, louder and closer than before. The time had come to act. They would have to tell the mayor's office what they were doing. As the storm raged, a new fear gripped her heart. What if he dismissed them? What if their voices fell silent against the roar of the storm? "Let us get to work," she shouted, and the townsfolk fell into a whirlwind of action. But as they moved, Sarah's heart pounded with an urgency. This wasn't just about a festival anymore. This was their stand against an uncertain future. Would their voices be strong enough to break through the noise? As the storm rumbled overhead, Sarah took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the crowd buzzing with life. The time for change was now, and every heartbeat whispered the same question: could they hold their ground, or would the storm take it all away? The storm blew fiercely, rain slashing down like a curtain, but Sarah's heart felt like it might burst with a mix of apprehension and exhilaration. She watched as each group bound together with purpose, their laughter rising above the wind's roar. The festival was becoming more than a dream, it was a lifeline. "I'll gather the decorations," Alex said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "The more we throw in, the more colorful this will be." A determined smile danced on Sarah's lips. "I'll take music. Let us find some local talent to give us a sound everyone will remember." Her decision ignited the energy within her. As Alex dashed away, she could feel the tide shifting. The storm wasn't the end but a beginning. But as she turned to rally the group, she spotted the mayor's assistant lurking in the shadows. The dim lighting and drumming rain hid his expression, but the cold, calculating focus in his eyes sent a shiver down her spine. He had a reputation for being a stone wall against change, especially if it ruffled the feathers of the old guard. "Hey, everyone! Let us regroup," she called, panic threading her voice. The noise died down as they gathered, a circle of solidarity forming despite the weather. "I know this is crunch time, but we need to keep our eyes on the bigger picture. We have to be ready to face whatever comes our way." "Right!" yelled Tim, stepping forward. "What do we need to say to him?" "We should pitch our ideas." Sarah nodded. "We should focus on how this festival could bring the community together, how it can showcase our town's spirit." As they discussed strategies, Sarah's mind raced. These people weren't just her neighbors, they were her family. With each voice that spoke up, each idea that was shared, she felt a swell of determination. "Let us write down our main points," she suggested, grabbing a weathered clipboard from a nearby table. "Something concise that we can share with the assistant when the time comes." The thunder rolled again, but this time it felt different. The sound was closer, like a warning. "Time is running out," it seemed to say. As her friends worked collaboratively, their passion became infectious. Yet, the knot in Sarah's stomach tightened. What if the assistant returned with bad news? What if her town's hope for unity shattered under his dismissal? She fought against the creeping sensation of doubt. As they crafted their plans, Sarah noticed the elderly woman who'd been among the first to support her, nodding sagely, her hands steady and purposeful as they wrote ideas. "You know, dear," she said softly, "sometimes storms wash away what is old and tired. They clear the path for new growth." Moved by her words, Sarah smiled, a warmth blossoming within her. She could feel the presence of her community, eclipsing her fears, like the comfort of a blanket on a cold night. "Okay. Let's keep our heads up. We're all in this together," she shouted. Cheers erupted, merging with the thunder above. But just as the crowd's energy reached a peak, the assistant approached, his figure emerging from the shadows like a specter. Sarah's breath caught. The air thickened, heavy with expectation and fear. "You all seem to be planning something," he said, voice low, eyes piercing through the rain. "What will you say?" Someone whispered behind her. With the fate of the festival hanging in balance, Sarah felt the weight of every soul around her. She straightened, realizing this wasn't just about the festival anymore. It was about standing up for their dreams. "We're united, and we're ready to share our vision," she declared, her heart racing. "Together, we'll make it work." But could their words silence the storm that loomed overhead, or would it drown them out? The moment of clarity teetered on the edge of possibility. The rain poured relentlessly, but in that moment, Sarah stood tall, her heart racing but her resolve unwavering. The townsfolk looked to her, a sea of determination reflected in their eyes. "We want to host a festival," she declared, her voice ringing clear above the storm. "A festival to showcase our community spirit, our unity. We believe it can bring everyone together, strengthening not just our local economy, but our bonds as neighbors." A murmur rose from the crowd, excitement mingling with apprehension. Sarah felt her pulse quickening. Could they convince him? The assistant's expression was stoic, but there was a hint of curiosity flickering beneath the surface. He remained silent, allowing them a moment to gather their thoughts. "Just think about it," Tim chimed in. "This festival could draw people from surrounding areas, boosting business for everyone, including yours. We're talking about not just surviving but thriving here in Willow Creek. Sarah's heart lifted at Tim's words. The townspeople nodded, whispering agreements among themselves, their spirits rising like the steam from the bakery's pie. And it could highlight our local artisans, bakers, crafters, musicians, Mrs. Thompson added, her voice gaining strength. This is about our people. It's about pride. Yeah. Alex shouted from the back, holding his colorful toys up high. And fun. We want everyone to play together. His innocent enthusiasm broke the tension with laughter, and the assistant cracked a slight smile. Look at that, Sarah continued, feeling the collective strength envelop her. We know how to come together, just like we have always done in difficult times. People know our names, our stories, and we can use that to inspire others. As the townsfolk shared their stories of floods they navigated together, of neighbors who turned into families, Sarah watched the assistant soften. The walls he had built around himself began to erode, piece by piece, until they could see the humanity beneath. Finally, he spoke. You have a vision. But what about the logistics? What are you proposing, and how will you ensure it stays organized amidst the challenges you face? With renewed vigor, Sarah grinned. That's why we're here. We're willing to form committees. Each group will be responsible for different aspects of the festival: games, food, entertainment, and outreach. It would be a local effort. A team effort. The crowd buzzed with excitement. Ideas flowed like the rain, each suggestion building momentum. The assistant's brow furrowed, but in a way that conveyed thoughtfulness. And the date? 3 weeks from today. Sarah piped up, planting her feet firmly. We will use that time to prepare, promote, and show you that we can make this happen. Together. As the words left her lips, the sound of the thunder grew distant. The storm, raging above, felt weak against the strength gathering below. If we work hand in hand, would you consider supporting us? Sarah felt a wave of hope wash over her. The assistant paused, collecting the fervor of their energy. All right, he finally said, much to Sarah's surprise. You have my ear. I'll present this to the mayor, but you all need to prepare a formal proposal. If you can show that this festival supports the local economy and fosters unity, I'll stand by you. Sarah's heart soared like a kite against the stormy sky. Thank you, she exclaimed, the words bursting forth. The townsfolk erupted into cheers. The collective spirit, once heavy and laden with fear, now sparkled with the promise of change and hope. As the rain began to lighten, Sarah turned to her neighbors, their faces bright with enthusiasm. Let us rally together. We need everyone's support, everyone's input. This is our moment. Through the mist, she saw the light flickering in their eyes. The doubts of the past began to evaporate. They were no longer just a collection of individuals, they were a family determined to ensure their legacy remained intact. As they mapped out their ideas and plans, Sarah looked down at Alex, who beamed with joy and eagerness. We can really do this, Mom, he declared, eyes wide. Yes, we can. She smiled back, embracing him tightly. No storms can take away our spirit. With laughter and renewed purpose, they rallied together under the clearing sky, embracing the promise of what was to come. Willow Creek's fate was no longer a shadow, it was a flame, bright and bold, ready to light the path forward, and so, the festival became the heart of change, not only for the town but for each individual who called it home. Now, the journey ahead beckons for us all. Don't just be a spectator of transformation. You need to subscribe now to catch the next incredible tale. It's your chance to support the voices that weave this fabric of community. Leave a like now to fuel the momentum, and let your thoughts roll in the comments below. What do you feel about all this? And don't wait not even one more second to share this inspiring story with at least 5 friends who need to see this. Only true fans understand the power of unity and action. Let us rise together.